Everybody, welcome to another episode of Windshield Time, the podcast where we help you use your windshield time to turn learning into earning. Windshield Time is, of course, brought to you by the wonderful folks at Service Excellence. I am Chris Elmore, the host, and joining me once again on the podcast is our very own Matthew Barbosa. And today on the podcast, we're going to talk about how you CYA. Stay tuned. That sounded pretty ominous, didn't it? Would ominous be the word for that? When I said CY.
Ooh, spooky. Spooky and ominous.
What would you call that, Alex? Ominous and a spooky quality, he says, for sure.
Well, dramatic,
I'm
maybe.
wondering now, though, how many podcasts have we done together, Alex, do you think? So we've done 40 podcasts together, because I've done 200 and some of these, but you were only for the last 40, right? And I think I've figured something out about Alex. I think he's a yes man, Matthew.
I think you're right, Chris. That was me being a yes man. How'd I do?
I see what you did there. That was pretty clever. It's pretty clever.
Chris. Thank you.
Stop being clever. I'm the only clever one on here.
No.
Of course, I'm kidding.
See what I did there?
Of course, I'm kidding. So, Matthew, let's tell the story about your dog and how it got its name. First of all,
Charles,
what type of dog is it, and what is his full registered name?
So he's a Welsh Terrier, which, awesome dog.
But he's a Welsh American Terrier because he was not born in Wales. He was born.
That's right. That's right. He is an American Terrier. Yep. So the story of his name. Well, okay. There's two stories.
Just tell us what his name is.
Charlie Barbosa. That's his name.
That's his nickname.
But
just like yours is Matty Waddy Poo Poo.
His God-given name, or his AKC registered name, is Sir Charles McFrisbington, Baron of Barkersville. And that's just because my loving boss dared me to do it. And one thing you need to know about me, if you dare me to do something, unless it's illegal, I'm probably going to do it and make a fool of myself.
Well, can we cross the illegal boundary if it's a triple dog dare?
Well, you have to honor a triple dog dare. I mean, there's just...
Even if we skip over the double dog dare?
Yeah, that's how it works. You got to know your...
So, Charlie's nickname, or Charlie's registered name, came from his love of Frisbees.
Well, his sister, who is owned by my sister, is a phenomenal little athlete of a dog, and you'll throw a Frisbee and she'll jump 6 feet in the air and catch it. And I thought I was going to train my dog to do it. So I was like, well, if I name him, it'll happen. No, didn't happen. Happen. But he's smart. He's very smart.
He's got one of the greatest names of any dog I've ever heard of.
Any dog you've ever named for somebody else?
I remember my parents did that. They had a Yorkshire Terrier, or Yorkshire, if you that's the way you talk. They had a Yorkshire Terrier when I was in high school, and it was one of those little teacup ones, one of the little tiny ones. It was a toy, because what is it? Teacup, toy, miniature, standard, whatever, giant. So she was a toy, and that dog and I got along okay until this one particular time. I was in my bedroom doing homework when I was like 14 or 15, and it was mild out, so we had the windows open. And I was on the second floor, and we had the screens in the windows, and I had my windows both fully up that faced the front of the house they were on the second floor. Well, the dog came in, said hello to me, jumped up on my bed, jumped up on the windowsill, and her thing was to lay in the window if the window was open. She loved doing that. So she did her normal routine and laid in the window, only the screen wasn't latched, and she fell out of the second floor window into the bushes below. And I honestly think she held that against me after that. Because then what would happen, and maybe I'm just remembering the timing this way, maybe it really wasn't, but it seems there was a coincidence in the timing where I would come home from playing hockey, roller hockey or whatever, surfing, and I would usually put my stuff in the laundry room. Well, I remember one time I went to go play hockey, and I went to go for a pair of socks that I had, my Lucky socks. Have you ever had Lucky socks?
Of course. What athlete?
Alex, do you have Lucky socks? You used to, right? So you know what I'm talking about. So my Lucky socks. And so I just figured they're in the laundry room. And, when you're 16, 17, you don't care about wearing dirty socks to play sports. I mean, they're going to get nasty anyway. So why would I care if I was wearing clean ones, right? So I go in the laundry room, and I know I put all my stuff down in there. Well, I can't find one of them. And so I had to go play a hockey game in unlucky socks. I know, right? So I didn't think anything else about it. Found a new pair of Lucky socks. Okay. I remember one time I'd been surfing, and I came home, and I had taken my wet trunks and put them in the laundry room. Because that's what you do. You wait for your mom to do it for you, right? So I put my trunks in the laundry room. Couldn't find them when I went to look for them again. Mystery, gone, nowhere. I'm thinking the dryers ate them or something like that. Then another time, a couple other times, mysteriously what would happen is I had a lot of Pop-Tarts when I was a teenager. The double chocolate ones. Do you like Pop-Tarts?
Oh my God. The only acceptable Pop-Tart for
Unfrosted strawberry.
Eat, no.
Unfrosted strawberry, yes. We've had this conversation on here before.
Everyone knows it's the frosted brown sugar. Please put some messages.
Okay, maybe to some people, but everybody who eats those can be wrong. That's okay. It's a free country.
It is. You're right. It is.
So I would eat Pop-Tart. And sometimes I would grab a thing of Pop-Tarts and a drink, and I go to the bathroom, come back. And I remember a couple of times the Pop-Tarts were gone. And I just assumed it was my mom going, you don't need to eat them. And she just didn't think back. So I just go grab another one and didn't think anything about it. One day I came home from school after I had started driving, just a year or two later. I came home from school, and I guess the dog was pissed about something. Because this little tiny toy dog, we had a rubber tree plant in a pot that was tipped over. Now, how this dog did it, I don't know, because she weighed 8 pounds or something. Rubber tree plant was turned over. All the dirt had spilled. And I came in, my Lucky sock, my trunks, 2 things of unopened Pop-Tarts. She had buried them in this rubber tree plant pot. But her name, Lady Daphne of Yorkshire.
There's nothing ladylike about what she did to you, Chris.
There is nothing ladylike about stealing somebody's Lucky socks.
No, sir.
All right. For those of you in the midst of eye roll or had just completed eye roll, let's get into the topic. I left you with a cliffhanger last time. Alex, do you remember what it was? CYA. Alex, what does CYA stand for in your mind? Call your auntie. You are so close, you don't even know how close you are. Yeah, it's unbelievable. If we were playing the hot-cold game, you're warm, you're cold, cold. You are surface of the sun hot. Call your account manager. No. Matthew, what do most people think CYA means?
Cover your booty.
Well, you can say ass on here.
Okay, good. I was doing some Baptist cussing. It's cover your ass.
No, I think just by the fact that Alex is our producer, our rating is automatically TVMA.
Oh, okay. Well, it's cover your ass, man. I say
CYA, cover your
CYFA.
ass. Okay. So see, Alex, why you were so close? Not at all. Not at all. Ever 20 feet below the surface in Antarctica is, that's how cold you were.
Fake place, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think it exists.
Yeah, of course it doesn't.
It's a giant movie set.
We have some flat earthers.
Island at the South Pole.
We got to.
I mean, hey, if on the show Lost they had a polar bear on a desert island in the middle of the Pacific, anything's possible, right? As long as they push that button so the world didn't explode. Yeah, that's a quality show, Alex. You should have been involved in that one. So let's talk about CYA. And we were talking about the checklist last time, and we talked about it as a communication facilitator and a value builder, right? And so when we look at it from a CYA standpoint, okay, cover your ass, cover your butt, cover whatever you want to call it, cover your mullet. That was a thing for hot tuna back in the day, surf company. Cover your mullet, Matthew. But what do we mean by that? Well, obviously, it's a record of what happened, what you checked on the call, right? And so we've all been there as technicians, except for maybe Alex. But we've all been there as technicians where we've gone to a house, we've done a diagnosis, we've told the customer explicitly about a particular issue that was going to cause a future problem, but wasn't broken now. We've told them about it. We've explained it to them. We might even have put it in our summary that we typed into our iPad. Yet, 6 months later, they call in. They act like it never happened. Well, the technician put in the notes here that you guys discussed it. Well, he never told me anything. We've all been there, right? You've been there?
I've been there.
Do you have the T-shirt?
Bought the T-shirt. It fit. It got worn out.
So we've been there. The checklist, or they conveniently forget, or whatever. The checklist helps cover you there.
That's right.
Did you check this? Did you check that? Did you check this? Now, it's very easy for you to just, if you're writing on one, just pencil whip it, right? And just check off everything. By the way, if you do that, it's pretty easy to tell. When all the check marks are the same shape at the same angle, yeah, it's pretty easy to tell if you've done that. But sure, you could do that, but you're not going to do that because you're ethical, right? And so if you don't use a checklist, you could have checked all that same stuff, right? You could have been the most thorough technician that ever walked in the door. Is that true?
You could have presented the information in the most thorough way too to the customer.
Well, everything if it's not in writing, it didn't happen. If it's not documented, it didn't happen.
Amen.
Even if it did. Right? And so that's a CYA thing. It's a communication thing, as we talked about. It's a record of what went on. But that's a CYA thing because unless it's documented, the assumption that everybody's going to make is that it didn't happen. Okay? Now, what if you put it in your summary, but it's not on your checklist? Well, then there's room for doubt. And I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt until you don't deserve it. Right? So we want to avoid the circumstance where someone looking at that job years later, a day later, a week later, we want to avoid the circumstance where someone assumes you didn't do something or you didn't check or evaluate something. Okay, we're going to do it there. We're going to put it in our notes, right? But the summary notes are not quite as they don't have to be quite as detailed if there is a picture of a completed checklist uploaded with the job, right? And so CYA, cover your ass with this one. Do the checklist to document what you did, right? That's the main thing. Now, again, let's address the fact that you're the most thorough technician that's ever been in the house. And you go through all those things and you do all those things and it's not documented. How are you building value for your knowledge? Because I want you to maximize the value of your experience and knowledge. And it doesn't necessarily mean money. It might mean status, prestige, adoration. And I know, oh, I don't need that, whatever. But hey, when technicians get together, you evaluate each other based on your technical ability, right? So that means that there is some value in attaining higher levels of those things. Well, it's not just technician to technician or industry insider to industry insider, because the customer, that there's a tremendous value there that needs to be realized and shown to the customer too. So just like you, Matthew, if you go on a call, you could be a much better technician than me. You could know way more than me. But if I document and you don't, who does the customer think is the best technician?
The guy with the documentation, the guy with the living visual record of what happened.
Yeah. So tell me, Matthew, in your opinion, how do the green items that we document that we normally wouldn't on a checklist, how do the green items build trust and build value with a customer?
I think the green items are some of the most important items to document on the checklist and to talk about, because what it allows me to do is to say, hey, Chris, here's all the things that I ruled out that aren't contributing to your problem. Here's all the things that I spent time checking and diagnosing, and hey, keep up the good work on these things. I think there's several facets of it, but to me, the main thing is it shows that I ruled out that we don't have any of these issues contributing to the problem. It helps us focus the conversation and the actions, the options the customer can take.
Right. That's good. I can't help but think that anytime you're delivering bad news to somebody, I think you like to point out the silver lining, right?
Big time.
Isn't that something we do? Is that something you do, Alex? You missed it. You're the producer of the podcast. How could you miss what I just said that you're recording? No, I'm just kidding. So, Alex, when you're delivering somebody bad news, like, hey, your face is fat, your eyes are squinty, you have a face for radio. When you're giving that news to somebody, what would you say? What would you do? Would you give them the bright side of things too? Okay, lead with positive, and we want to end on a positive too, right? What do they call that? Is that an Oreo?
It's an Oreo.
Okay. So, if I'm delivering bad news to a customer, in one of the tendencies we have as technicians is we want to soften the blow, don't we?
Yeah.
What are some of the things we do to soften the blow, Matthew?
Oh man.
What are some typical things that we do?
Minimizing language, number one. Well, Chris, we kind of have a little bit of a little problem here. Your outdoor condenser it's engulfed in flames, but the fire's not that bad. It's not that big. I mean, we
Wow,
use some minimizing language there.
that went catastrophic quick.
Well, it's really not that big of an issue if we just take care of it a little bit.
Yeah,
Minimizing language is
little,
one of the deadliest sins.
just, kinda, sorta. All of these things are minimizing language. That's one of the things we try to do to soften the blow. But we don't want to lessen the force of the impact, if that makes sense. That might seem counter. What would you call that, Alex? If I don't want to I want to lessen the blow, but I don't want to reduce the force of the impact. Is that like military intelligence or government efficiency? Is that what that's like? Oxymoron. Yeah. Okay. So that's what we want to do. We're trying to minimize, or we want to soften the blow. And when we soften the blow, inherently we have to minimize the impact. But how can we do softening the blow without minimizing the impact? Because giving someone bad news is awkward. It's gut-wrenching sometimes. Even something as inconsequential as you got to clean your blower wheel, or hey, your toilet really needs to be rebuilt, or whatever. Just those kind of minor things can be gut-wrenching for some people. It creates an anxiety that doesn't need to exist.
We make it a bigger deal in our head. We psych ourselves out. We get this overwhelming fear of, oh, well, the customer's not going to like me. They're going to feel like I'm personally attacking them, and all these things. And honestly, I think all it results in is they trust you less when you soften the blow.
I think so too. That's a good point. And also, we tend to use our own feelings about money and the visual cues for status and things like that to make assumptions, consciously or unconsciously, about how this person in front of me will react to bad news. Now, you should be aware of that because you should know their profile and you should know how they react under stress. And if you go to our website, I'm pretty sure you can download our disc profile chart that shows the 14 traits that we look at, starting with demeanor, pace, and conversation. But if you go down, what happens when they're under stress, those kind of things, you'll see what they tend to do. So we want to know that. We want to adapt to that, but we can't be afraid of it. And so I think what happens is a lot of times we want to soften the blow. And so one way to soften the blow is to show that there are green items. Now, the one red item may be catastrophic, but in a plumbing system, it's very rare that one thing shuts down the whole system, right?
Pretty rare.
HVAC, it could happen. Your air conditioner's not going to work if your compressor's bad. Your furnace, we're going to turn it off if the heat exchanger's bad. If your blower motor is bad, we got to do something. But catastrophic things, even on a furnace, your ductwork's still good. It's green. Hey, you got this great air filtration product here, air quality product. That's green. You can still use that. In your plumbing system, all this other stuff was green. You just got to take care of these few red and yellow items. Yeah, it might be $15,000, but still, in the grand scheme of things, you got a lot of green going on here. Now, I'm not telling you someone's going to be happy about spending 15 grand on their plumbing system just because you put some greens on a checklist. No, it's not. But from a logical standpoint, if we deal with this logically, let's document everything on the checklist to cover our ass. Because there's things we wouldn't document if we didn't have the checklist. And it doesn't mean we didn't do a good job on a diagnosis. We wouldn't document it. So we would be leaving out that value of thoroughness, extensiveness, the fact that there are green items here. It's not just all bad news. Now, again, I realize that one red could be catastrophic, and that's really bad news. I get it. But if all you're delivering is bad news, you can't soften the blow. Even though you try, the only way you can do that is with minimizing language. And when you use minimizing language, you lessen the force of the impact. And the impact has to be felt because it's real. You're not making it up. It's ethical. It's coming from an ethical place. You are not making it up. And so by showing greens, we extend value there, and the greens help lessen the blow without removing the force of the impact, because the yellows and reds are still yellow and red. But now they're yellow and red in the context of this whole sheet that has 40, 50 things on it, and there's 4 or 5 reds and yellows, and there's 45 greens, right?
Another way that this helps you out as the tech, I think this is freeing in a way. If you go with me on this, guys, listening to this, I do a thorough job on the checklist. I've got greens, I've got reds, I've got yellows. We owe it to the customer to present everything that is yellow or red that could be turned green. But there's some freedom in this too, in that we can show the customer how they can phase it out if they want to, right? So, Chris, I know this might be overwhelming. Um, if we can't take care of everything here and turn all the reds and yellows to green, let's do the phase one things. It actually helps you strategize and help your customer out. And you can only do that by having a thorough checklist with greens on there and yellows and everything to facilitate a conversation. We talked about that in a previous episode, but in a way, you want to talk about not having this sharp blow that might make the customer feel bad. Thoroughness is your friend, ladies and gentlemen.
You heard it here first. Thoroughness is your friend. Well, probably not first, but again, you heard it here.
For
right?
the 90th time.
So let's go back to how CYA. Cover your ass, document it, so everybody knows you did what you said you were going to do or you should have done. Okay, you're also building value and all those kind of things we talked about. But also, you made a lot of assumptions in your diagnosis, probably. Visually, you made assumptions. Visually, the outside of that thing is fine, so the inside must be okay. Audibly, I heard this thing doing its thing, so I don't need to throw a meter on it, right? There are some acceptable shortcuts, okay? But we're still going to document those things because I'm making these assumptions, right? Well, what about the assumptions of other people?
Give me an example. What do you mean there?
Well, we alluded to it before. We talked about it directly before. You come along and there's no checklist. What's your assumption?
Oh, they didn't do it. They didn't check it.
Now maybe, yeah, they didn't do it or didn't check it, but maybe if we never hear from the customer again, it's not going to be a problem. But if the customer calls back 3 weeks later?
Yeah.
Well, the customer's assuming, if you didn't do a checklist, what's the customer assuming? At best.
Chris, one time I had a customer early in my career. They called in after I did a maintenance, and they said, that guy that you sent out here, all he did was kick the tires and look under the hood. I'll never forget that phone call.
Oh yeah,
I was in the office when it happened.
before.
Yeah, I mean they're going to think that all you did was kick the tires and look under the hood.
Yes, and then let's say you go out there for a problem, you fix it, you checked everything, you just didn't document everything because you didn't do a checklist. You found a problem, you fixed it, but one of two things happens. Either something you saw that was a concern that you only mentioned briefly now is a red item and it's causing this thing not to work, or something that you didn't document because you didn't do a checklist suddenly turns red. It was green before, but only it wasn't green because you didn't document it. It's only green in your head unconsciously.
There too.
So what does the customer assume? At best, the customer assumes that it's an adjacent problem, but you probably could have found it when you were there, but no big deal. People make mistakes. The most common attitude is you did something actively or actively didn't do something that now caused them to have another problem.
Either way, we result in trust and credibility decreasing.
Yes. And it's because they're making an assumption. A lot of times, your boss may make an assumption. Elmore's got another callback, not checking things again. So do this. CYA, cover your ass, cover your assumptions and other people's. Fill out your checklist to cover those assumptions. So I can't assume you didn't check it. Okay. Now I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and assume that you're not just pencil whipping it and you actually did check the things you're saying you checked. Okay. That's integrity, right? I can't teach you that. But what I can do is when I look and see a completed checklist, okay, Matthew checked it. Okay, this customer's calling in and they're saying that Matthew never said anything, yet it's marked yellow on his checklist, and there's a recommendation for it, or there's a conversation about it in his summary. Well, yeah, he also made a recommendation for it that they declined. And so now I've covered all assumptions because I documented it thoroughly. And that was 3 pieces of documentation. That was the checklist, the summary, but also the options. And we're going to talk about the options next. But again, that's why it's so important with the checklist that you CYA. So yeah, cover your ass by, okay, I did what I said I did. Okay. But cover other people's assumptions. Cover the assumptions you make of, okay, I looked at that and it was good. I'm assuming it's good because visually it looks fine or whatever, it looks fine. Because sometimes, especially with electrical, maybe even plumbing, we're charging for an advanced diagnostic if it doesn't pass our visual inspection or if we don't find anything on our visual. So let's cover that assumption you're making by documenting the checklist. Let's cover the assumption that might be made, because I don't want you thinking about someone who works with you every day. Like, for instance, Matthew, if you were one of my technicians, I'm going to give you the benefit of an assumption. I'm going to do that unless there's a reason not to, because there's a track record not to. But I'm usually going to give you the benefit of the assumption. But now, what if it's a year later and somebody's looking at that checklist? Or what if it's somebody else in the company that doesn't work with you every day that looks at that call and doesn't see a checklist? What are they going to do?
They're going to make an assumption that you
yeah, they're going to make an assumption. So let's go ahead and cover your ass, but let's cover other people's assumptions too, so they can't make them. Right? Because what's the saying about assumptions? Assumptions make
ass out of you and me.
That's right. So let's cover everybody here by completing this checklist and doing this documentation. Now, one of the other things that the checklist does is the checklist. We've been talking about benefits, but it helps you. And Matthew, you talked about this earlier. We're going to unpack it on another podcast, but it helps you organize your options.
Yes.
And it helps you communicate better that. And it protects the integrity of your documentation when everything matches up. And so when I use my checklist to create options, and we'll talk about that format on another podcast, but here's the thing, it's paint by numbers, right? Paint by numbers. What do? You paint this area that has this number in it, this color that goes with that number, right? It's hard to mess up. Now, it's not making you like Michelangelo or some other famous painter I can't think of. Alex, can you name a famous painter? Vermeer. It's not making me Vermeer. But I'm checking all the boxes, no pun intended with the checklist. I'm checking all the boxes, I'm getting it all done, and I'm going to be able to see what the picture looks like, right? There's going to be some nuance and stuff to it beyond the paint by numbers, but if you can't paint by numbers, you can't paint probably. So we're going to fill out our checklist, we're going to do our summary, and we're going to do our options, and our options are going to flow from our checklist like almost like a math problem, like a math formula, or like a formula. But if we don't do a checklist, we can't do the rest of it downstream. And so we'll talk about options the next time and how the checklist plays into the options. Now, in the meantime, if you want to talk to us, Chris at servextra.com, servextra.com, or 254-733-7109. If you want to talk to Matthew,
hit me on my cell, 214-878-9672, or drop me an email, Matthew, MATTHEW, at servextra.com.
Did you try to sound cool there?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
The kids call that fry voice. It's very popular these days, Chris. You should try it.
6s or 7s?
Jeez, no.
Isn't that something else the kids say today? Is that what the kids say that today, Alex? 6s and 7s? Okay. Go to our website, www.serveextra.com. Check out our upcoming workshop series for tech and sales. Also, lots of cool resources you can download, including this podcast, old episodes of it, or past episodes, because they're never old. And you can like and share and give us suggestions for topics. Matthew, what do we do here at ServiceX?
We turn learning into earning.
Bye, everybody.